Francis Ngannou gives his prediction for Jon Jones versus the heavyweight GOAT Stipe. In the debut episode of the Ariel Helwani show, Francis shared his thoughts on the upcoming title fight in the division he once dominated. Given Stipe's extended absence from the octagon and doubts about his current fighting form, the Predator is slightly favoring Jones for the UFC 309 main event. However, if his former rival shows up in the same shape that led him to 2 championship reigns, Ngannou wouldn't be shocked if Madison Square Garden witnesses an upset. Quote, Stipe hasn't fought since what? 3 years and a half. So I don't really know where he's at. I don't really know how he'll show up. He always shows up good, but it's been a while and he's not getting younger. I think all those questions makes me slightly shift to Jones's side. But Stipe is a guy that is very committed. When he shows up in full. Ngannou continued, if he shows up in full, he can really surprise you. So I wouldn't be surprised also if he wins. Ngannou, on the other hand, is only days away from his eagerly anticipated return to mixed martial arts. After 2 high-profile boxing bouts against Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, the Predator is set to make his debut as the main event for the upcoming PFL pay-per-view in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Belal Muhammad has hit back at featherweight champ Ilia Topuria after the Georgian took shots at his title reign. Ilia, who's been sparring verbally with Belal for a while now, didn't hold back when asked how he thinks his rival will fare in his first title defense. Previously, the two clashed over how Topuria would do in a street fight against lightweight champ Islam Makhachev. Muhammad warned Topuria to be cautious about challenging any Dagestani fighter to a street fight. This sparked anger from Topuria, who retaliated on social media and labeled him a fake champion. In an Instagram live session, Topuria was asked to choose between Belal and Shavkat. He responded, Shavkat, because Belal is a fake champion. I believe the one who will reclaim the welterweight title is Kamaru Usman. Easy win for Kamaru. Belal Muhammad then fired back on Twitter saying, didn't this dork just buy a fake BMF belt to pose with? He's turning into the Georgian version of Colby Covington. Topuria quickly shot back, calling the welterweight champ a crotch sniffer. Michael Bisping reacted to ongoing beef between Ilia Topuria and Belal Muhammad. In a recent episode of Believe You Me podcast on YouTube, Bisping reacted to Ilya's tweet aimed at the welterweight champ. No finishes, no knockouts, no knockdowns, no girlfriend, no kids. Belal has never finished any man or woman. Bisping read the tweet out loud and said, what a prick, man, what a prick. Belal has knocked out Sean Brady, but I guess if people's gonna talk shit, then they're gonna talk shit. Since when did Belal and Topuria have beef? What are your thoughts on this beef between the UFC champions? Leave your comments below. Sean O'Malley revealed that he fought with an injury during his bout against Merab Dvalishvili. However, Suga says he has no regrets about fighting through his injury against the current champ and is confident he'll whoop him in a rematch. During an appearance on the Ariel Helwani show on Uncrowned, O'Malley reflected on the disappointing end to his short title reign in Las Vegas last month. I had a torn labrum. 10 weeks before the fight, I snapped my labrum. It is what it is. It was unfortunate. O'Malley said, no, I didn't consider pulling out. Freaking Merab sucks. There was no reason to pull out. No, I don't regret not pulling out because I'm gonna whoop Merab's ass and it's gonna make it that much sweeter when I beat him the second time. O'Malley continued, overall, I had a good camp. Way better camp than the Aljo camp. The rib injury was a lot harder to train with than the torn labrum. The labrum, it's just pain. I was able to do a lot more. O'Malley is fairly certain that a rematch with Merab is in his future. With some question marks over Dvalishvili's title defense against Umar Nurmagomedov taking place before the Dagestani's break for Ramadan, Suga is aiming for a quicker than anticipated recovery to be ready for a potential showdown with the champion in March or April 2025. If Unibrow and Merab don't fight by the end of the year, I'm fighting Merab in March. O'Malley posted on social media. Tony Ferguson refuses to retire despite record-tying losing streak as he highlights what he needs to change. Following the disappointing loss to Michael Chiesa, it seemed as though the 40-year-old was finally ready to step away from the sport when he placed one glove down in the center of the octagon. Although El Cucuy has hinted at retirement, he's confirmed that he's not stepping away and will continue fighting in the UFC. While it's uncertain how many fights Ferguson has remaining on his current UFC contract, UFC CEO Dana White has previously expressed his hope that the 40-year-old would consider retiring. sparring. I left half a freaking glove in there and I got it back, so that just tells me I got both pairs of gloves. Ferguson explained to Demetrius Johnson on his YouTube channel. We're probably going to take the rest of the season, figure some things out, and we're coming back hard either January or February. Hell no, I'm not retiring. I'm too old to retire. 40 years old, I'm halfway to 80. I've been competing since I was 5 years old in multiple sports. It's not like I don't know anything else. I do. I'm still able to compete. When somebody can run a sprint faster than me, maybe I'll start to consider it. He continued. El Cucuy survived a recent roster purge, which possibly indicates that he does still have fights on his deal, as much as Dana White likely doesn't want him to see them through. Ian Machado Garry versus Colby Covington is in the works for UFC Tampa main event. The UFC is aiming to close out their final ESPN broadcast card of the year with a standout main event, and they might have it lined up if they can secure Colby Covington's agreement. Ian Garry has been pursuing a fight with Covington for over a year, ever since Chaos began posting videos attacking Garry's wife. While Colby hasn't held back on social media, frequently targeting her on Instagram, he has been notably reluctant to sign on for a bout with Garry himself. According to the Sporting News, the UFC hopes to have Covington versus Garry as the headliner for UFC Tampa Bay on December 14th. Covington, who fights out of Florida, would have the chance to headline at Amalie Arena in Tampa, making it a significant hometown opportunity. Yet, even this hasn't been enough to get Colby to commit to facing what he's dubbed a legitimate cuck, Garry. Garry has made it clear he's eager for the matchup with Covington. He pushed hard to secure the fight for UFC 303, but ultimately faced Michael Venom Page instead. Garry managed to grind out a decision win against the elusive striker. The victory also bumped him up to number 7 in the welterweight rankings, just ahead of Covington at number 6. That's where things have remained for the past 3 months. Covington has attributed his absence to a foot injury from his fight with Leon Edwards back in December 2023, which he cited as the reason for skipping UFC 303. However, fighting a younger, rising star lower in the rankings is not an appealing move for many veterans. Plus, even high-profile UFC fight nights on ESPN don't quite match the attention and sponsorship rewards that come with UFC PPV events. At 36 years old and with a 2-3 record over the past 5 years, Covington is likely hoping for a few more significant fights and perhaps one last shot at the title. He has a history of being patient, waiting for the matchups he wants, as evidenced by his slow pace of just one fight per year. Currently, reports suggest that Chaos is looking to face Jorge Masvidal again in the co-main event of a major pay-per-view in 2025. However, that's probably not going to happen. Who do you think Colby should fight next? Leave your comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for daily MMA news.